swimming is such a great sport. I mean, I really love it. I wasn't a particularly fit child, I wasn't particularly good at any other sport, but swimming is something I really love, and it's really lovely to share that passion for swimming that I have and be part of this.
Well, I'm really excited that there's so many people taking part of all abilities, and I think it's great that there's lots of youngsters that can swim with their mums and dads and stuff, and a lot of people have never done this before.
This British Gas Swim Britain initiative is so important. It's a great way to get families but also friends and people involved in swimming.
They're all here to support each other, which is great morale, and hopefully will boost their confidence and self-esteem.
What we want is that in the next few years we want 500,000 people swimming regularly, and the benefits of that are huge.
It's a big challenge, but I think having events like this is really going to make a big difference to that.
Good afternoon and welcome to Tollcross International Swimming Centre for coverage of the Scottish Gas National Swimming Championships. Brought to you live and exclusive by Scottish Swimming in partnership with Scottish Gas, Glasgow Life, Speedo and Quickview TV Sports. I'm Drew Gordon and I'll be your guide to the remaining sessions in the 12-session swimming, the 4 days of the world class. Hopefully top performances we had this morning in Glasgow's East End, as the top swimming talent in Scotland go for their place on Team Scotland at the 2014 Commonwealth Games.
Well, it saw a surprise. In the early stages, everybody ready. A couple of great swims in the morning session. Let's take a look at those and just remind ourselves how those swimmers have to be so ready to make it a top swim here at these selection trials and championships. The first event up this morning was the 100 fly. We're going to look at the 100 free, the 50 breast and the 400 IM. The key events, or the individual events from the morning session. There was a big surprise in store. It caught everybody out this morning, but it was a delightful wave. This is the women's 100 fly in Heat 2. And we saw a wonderful, strong swim in a 104 in Heat 2 to set the meet alight. But then came the men's 100 freestyle. In Heat 5, the first opening for Robbie Rennick in the 100 freestyle. And along with Stephen Milne-Firth, these guys hit the 50 point. 50.2 for Rennick, just showing early speed for the 200, 400 specialists. In the next heat, we saw another 50.6 starting to crowd now. And in lane 3, it was Richard Schaefers that took the victory in a very tight touch. In Heat 7, to close the 100 freestyle, alongside great Belgian swimmers Timmers and Surgelus, we had another 50.1 from lane 3, Kieran McGuckin of Edinburgh University. In the breaststroke, we had a British record on the way, but in Heat number 4 of the men's breaststroke, that set it alight. We had a super swim there in 27.91. Then came Ross Murdoch on the track, a 27.28 swim. He's already top of the world rankings, and he confirms that with an even faster time than he did in the Australian Nationals. Looking good. Then Hannah Miley in her signature event, the 400 IM. She put everything in place for a very solid heat swim underneath the qualifying time. She only has to repeat that in the finals to secure her place. No preceding for the Games this year. Well, we're going to take a look at what's coming up in this next session, session 2. It's the same events as the morning, the 100 fly freestyle, the 200s freestyle butterfly, couple of 50s and the 400 IM. It's backed up by the heats of the women's 4x200 relay. Same events, slightly slower group of heats, but still opportunity for people to make it in the final if they come up with a super swim. My co-commentator this afternoon is David Leith, former Commonwealth swimmer attending 3 Commonwealth Games. Welcome, David, and looking forward to this afternoon, but what's your memories from the morning session?
Thanks, Drew. Yeah, I would say obviously Ross Murdoch's performance at 50-metre breaststroke was something pretty special. It's not often we get to see a British record in a truly world-class race, and to be honest, that really gets me excited for him for the 100 metres going into that event, because I think he's going to be a real challenger in that. On top of that, I think obviously the men's 100 metre freestyle is going to be a great race. Men's 200 fly tonight, again, you've got a lot of guys that'll just be racing off for that top spot. And the same for the women's 100 metre butterfly as well. There's going to be a lot of athletes in the mix for that win, and they'll be gunning for that win, so it's really going to be an exciting race. I look forward to tonight. On top of that, just looking at some of the other guys running around about the TV, so it's going to be exciting after.
Thanks, Dave, for your thoughts. Now, this week's championship has as much to do with you at home as it does the swimmers here, and we want you to play your part in making this event Scottish swimming's biggest and best ever national championships. To have your say, tweet us using the hashtag SGNC2014. You'll find us on Facebook at facebook.com/Scottish Swimming. And wherever in the world you're swimming this weekend, we want you to take a picture and Instagram it in using the same hashtag SGNC2014. Get clicking. All this social media is part of Scottish Swimming's commitment to bringing you the most exciting and engaging coverage of national championships. And all of this week's live coverage will be available for catch-up on the Scottish Swimming YouTube channel. So if you
Welcome to Scottish Swimming's official YouTube channel. No matter if you compete or participate in swimming, disability swimming, diving, synchro, open water, water polo or masters, if you're a teacher, tutor or coach, or simply interested in what we're up to, this is the place to find it, from wherever you are in the world. On our channel, you can watch our key events live or on demand, or simply the highlights afterwards. All for free 24/7. If you subscribe, you'll not miss any new videos, so what are you waiting for?
Two minutes away from the start of session 2. And of course, Scotland's going to be very busy, and already outside the Commonwealth Games time, there's another event being given by Scottish Swimming, and that's the Commonwealth Games Water Polo Championships, and it's in the brand new swim centre, opened very recently up in Aberdeen.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome your referees, Neil Valentine.
So if you're in Aberdeen, 5th to 12th of April, come along, Aberdeen Sports Village. For more information at scottishswimming.com/CWPC 2014.
Well, that's the second session into place. The first session this morning ran over a little bit, and everybody was rushed to lunch and had to snack rather than eat. But we're keeping to our times, and that hopefully that fits in with your program of the day, where you sneak a look either at home or at work. Remember, we are on YouTube, and we look forward to having your company with us.
100 meters butterfly.
The first event up is the 100 butterfly. There are 4 remaining heats. The first heat has Summers in the middle of the pool.
Ladies and gentlemen, we have there the athletes for heat 1.
Olivia Burridge in 3 and Claire Sims in 4. Lucy Walkup for Carnegie in 5. You've got Hutchison and an addition, Christofferson in lane 2. The 100 fly started off with a 64 this morning. Four heats, first event. And all sorts of
spectators being drawn in to give this some atmosphere, and that's great for this afternoon session.
Absolutely, yeah. Quite a lot of kids in from schools. Picking a lot of noise. For the atmosphere.
A 14 to 16-year-old in the field, times all on the 112. Let's hope they get under that, splitting in 32. Well, should get there, but it's a nice little race. Claire Sims have warned they're just trailing a little bit. All these swimmers, small, stocky, built like butterflies.
Yeah, strong shoulders and butterflies for her. Small leg kickers too. Keep these flat as possible coming into lap 25.
Christofferson, well added to the heat.
Into account, but it just gives you an idea the difference between the early heats and the slightly later heats. Heat 2, no swimmer in lane 3. Other than that, it's a full house, and lane 4 is the fastest time all the way from Lerwick. 1:11.1 in lane 4 to Kate Jones. Next to her, Anne Hutchison. So a little club battle as well as a championship battle.
Yeah, they come all the way from Lerwick and end up racing side by side. It's typical, isn't it?
So Heather Lees of the first group going through in 31.87. The heat just a little bit faster. Tidy swimmer, legs staying together, nice rhythm. Just not got the power yet, of course, a 14-year-old, but it's important to get all those other things right.
She had a bit of strength and power to that to that technique there, and you're going to have something pretty special.
Also going well, pretty fast 0-1, but Nicky Miller will take this one, 108.59.
So you'll see that on the side of the block, a little red light appears nowadays, and the 1, 2 and 3 clearly identified for you. If you have a wide view of the finish, you would see the other 2 lights in lanes 0 and 1, and there's your times. A 1:10.95 at the end. Very strong finish in 0. The 15-year-old from Stirling, Rosie Stanger.
Next up, heat 3.
So heat number 3 then. On the blocks, qualifying for national championships is the first hurdle, and then moving into the championship proper, hopefully doing a personal best time. Well, all very close, 110s, 111s. Natalie Lees of West Lothian gets the 110.3 in the middle of the pool. The fastest time of these 10 summers. Remember that far away from your view on the screen, it's lane 0, and closest to you is lane 9, using all 10 lanes of the tow cross facility for heats and finals here in these championships.
Very close race this one, Drew. 4 or 5 of them all turning together there up at the top end of the pool.
So there is a chance to qualify for the finals this evening.
So it's really who can hold the skills together as best as possible coming in at the last 25.
The swimmers have to go 106.63 to make it.
So Erin Cooper over there for West Lothian in lane 0, just showing slightly, but it's very tight across the pool. Very strong but short chopping stroke in lane 4. Natalie Lees going to get there at the end, I think. Just going to make a touch out. Very close. Oh, a breath at the end. Crawford in lane 8, 110.37 in first place. So maybe that breath in the last stroke just cost her the victory there, David.
Yeah, I think so. Maybe just a little aggressive at the start of the race as well, but you see all these guys doing all the training that they do, and they end up within half a second of each other, you know. Very, very close.
So 110.37 against the 110.47. A few summers just slipping off their personal entry times as we come to the 4th and final heat of the afternoon programme. The 5 faster heats so in the morning. That gives the top summers a real chance to eat properly and rest properly before the finals. But it doesn't stop anyone here having one super swim, but at these young ages in butterfly it's very, very difficult.
Yeah, these guys all have done a great job to qualify to get themselves in a position to come here and race, you know, so it's a great honour for them as well. They'll be coming here to break the personal best in this swim.
Well, leading them out, it's okay. Abby Boring, coming all the way from Bristol. Nice long stroke, very clean, very tidy, very exact. Now the charge down the second length, and here comes the endurance and the strength at the end, the strength of mind and body in the butterfly. Good swim in 3 coming from Abby Boring in the second half.
They've been around this pool for a long time. They made significant structural changes to it. The pool just looks absolutely brilliant.
Fastest entry time, 54.50, so that's not hanging about at all.
Well, it's a full-scale rehearsal, of course, for the Commonwealth Games. They're using the systems, they're using the PA system, they've got the technical stuff together. Obviously, some of the officials will be there and getting a chance to shine as well. But it's to find out all the other glitches, you know, the call room, the ready room, the, you know, all the other bits and pieces that make the thing very efficient. I had a little chat about the call room and the difficulties of space there, so, you know, better to spot it now than to have trouble with, well, the very talented athletes at the Games.
Yeah, definitely this week and next week as well in the British Championships. They'll get a chance to troubleshoot all those things and get everything absolutely tip-top for the Games.
Yeah, just to explain that, these championships, of course, should be the prime focus for Scottish swimmers to get a Commonwealth Games nomination time, or not time for nomination to selection. But in this phase 1, next week's British Championships, held here in Tollcross, that gives the English, Welsh, Irish and any other visitors a chance to swim in the Tollcross facility. And it's a second chance to hopefully just top up some of the gaps that may appear after this weekend's championships. You can't replace anybody, but if there's a spot you can slot in with a good time from the British. But it's a hard ask to come here, swim well, and then a week later do the same thing. It's just very, very tight, but one never knows. I was told that all the top swimmers, all the potential team swimmers were here, except one who can't make it and has to swim at the British. As we move on to the men's 100 freestyle, 5 heats this afternoon. Heat 1 starts off with 16-year-old Callum Deans from Elgin on a 56.77 entry time. They'll be close races here.
Yeah, they're all going to come down in a line. First 50 in this event, same as the heats this morning. The guys will be looking to get down there as quickly as they can, but leave plenty in the tank to come home. It's really the last 15-20 metres that are going to spread these guys out. So they just want to make sure they're in a good position, but keep their efficiency and keep their stroke length up. Really drive all the way home into the wall.
Just showing very slightly in lane 2, Joseph Miley of Geary. Well, there's a pedigree for you.
Absolutely.
Swimming family, of course. Younger brother of Hannah. And real drive in.
Joseph Miley in 2, and it does go to lane number 8.
Joseph Miley, 56.61.
6-100. He takes it in lane number 2. Josh Mitchell.
56.61.
And in the centre of the pool,
56.67. And there's 4 young men on 56s kicking off these 100 freestyle slower heats in fine style.
Yeah, and dipping under the entry times there, so you'd assume that that's a bit of a step forward for these guys.
You're never going to get much off the 100 freestyle time, but every little helps.
PB's a PB, as they say. Yeah, if it's the best you've done, then you're getting better.
Have you had a 1/100th improvement?
Yeah.
I would think so. Heat number 2 then. It's a freestyle event, but you see in lane 4, Gareth Allen of Stirling going on butterfly, taking on the freestylers. In the freestyle you can swim any form you like. You can almost do anything you like except walk forward in the direction of the event on the bottom of the pool. So lane 4, swimming 100 fly time for some reason, but looking smooth again.
Lane 7, Ross Leslie. Going well in 5. Fraser Meadows of Warner. Very high head, but a really good strong swim in 7. 54.75. 54.75. Well, super.
It's a real smart race there, Ross. Came through very strong after the bad numbers.
56.27 entry time. That's a really nice swim.
That's a jump.
54.75. Very pleased for Ross Leslie of South
Lanark. Moving to Heat 3, David Colley of the City of Glasgow, 17 years of age, a 55.4 entry time in lane 4. He's the target for the rest of the field, and the crowd round him all on 55 point. So it's the hundreds that separate these swimmers on entry times. Let's see if the race matches that. A long underwater start for lane 2. That's Cameron Finlayson, Heart of Midlothian, but it hasn't cost him any. And having done that wonderful long start, it's now a very short, fast stroke. Going in 7, Jack Ness of Coast, perhaps going to get the feet on the wall. 26.3.
In fact, it's a dead heat there at the 50-metre mark. Jack Ness and David Colley.
It's a big lad, David Colley. A big, tall boy for his age. He's got his rate up. Looks like he could still grow into that big frame of his a little bit. It's coming through strong, though it's pretty close. From here looks like Jack Ness might just nick it.
Coming to the red markers. 5 metres to go, and Jack Ness will take this one.
54.77 to Jack Ness. Entry time 55.78. That's a massive improvement. A really good swim. Of course, the entry times may not be their absolute personal best. That information is not easily available within the whole of the technological age, but we just assume that that's certainly going to be the long course best. And to get a 54.7, really smart. And from lane 7, nice and calm, held the stroke all the way through. Nice positive finish. Moving to Heat 4. Ross Hewson, 16-year-old, has a 55.01 entry time. Now he should lead the seeded heats, although the 55s are all very close. It's a very strong start from Andrew McGovern of Coast. That fluorescent pink and black suit there.
Yeah, I'm not quite sure what happened with his entry time there, because 55, I think he's pretty close to that on his backstroke event, so I would expect him to be a significant way under 55. 24.99 at the halfway, so he'll be looking if he can hold it together to break under the 52-second mark, I would say.
Well, it's a strange right arm for me, elbow down, but very long and strong. Now getting into the last 5, taking the breath. Will he hold it? Yes. Last 3 strokes. 52.22. So going forward, that 52 sets a cat amongst the pigeons. And he had something to prove, obviously, and decided to.
Yeah, I'm not sure what's going on there with that entry time, but yeah, it was a pretty solid swim. He went out quickly. He just could have worked on holding it together a little more. 24.99 at halfway, you'd expect 51 mid, 51 high at least.
5th and final heat then. It's Callum McGregor who has the responsibility. The 21-year-old from Lerwick, 54.5. Certainly something happening up there. In 5, Kieran Johnson of Mulgai and Bearsden, and 3, Chris McComb of East Lothian. Again 54. The whole field on 54. It's who can bring it out on the day. Lane 6, Lawrence Stead of Loughborough out there in a bright pink cap. Very fast turnover, David, eh?
Yeah, very, very quick turnover. 25.6 at the halfway is very quick. If we can keep that rate going, it'll be pretty good. But some of these guys over on the other side of the pool looking a lot longer and smoother through it, so it's going to be a pretty good race up to the last 15 metres.
Cameron Muffet in 2, 27-year-old at Windsor, 54.5. Doesn't look like a 27-year-old. The touch going to lane 6, the Stead, 53.16. Managed to hold on. 53.16, 52.2 in the previous. That's the finish order. 53.1, 53.4, 53.9. The summary, McGovern at 52.2 heads up the holder event, and it goes out. Again, lots of swimmers making their entry times or bettering them, and just showing that the depth in certainly in freestyle is very good indeed. So we have the 100 freestyle finished, and we come to the women's 200 freestyle. Interesting that the 200 freestyle individual events in the same session as the 4x2 relay. Busy day or not?
I think it's a good thing. I think getting them to that's what these guys will have to be used to doing. And it's only 2 races in an afternoon, you know, so it's not too much to ask. I don't think they've been well prepared.
A busy session, and putting the 4x2, some of the top swimmers will have to come back to swim for their teams, I expect.
For their clubs, yeah, you would imagine so. I think it would depend upon. I'm not sure how many of the top teams would be putting their top guys in, especially if they've got key events later on that day, but I'm not really sure. We'll wait and see.
Yeah, it's the old chess match of the coaching decisions about the risks that you take. So the 200 freestyle individual event is coming up. 4 heats, 3 swimmers in the first heat, starting off with a 2:17 and going down to a 2:11. The fastest entry time, Kimberly Mackay of Warrender, 15-year-old on 2:11.74. So the crowd has been boosted by some local schools, and here to make noise and enjoy it. And without the 1500 metre this afternoon, they might be able to keep up with the events. Our youngsters this morning just lost a little bit of interest, but you can't blame them. 4 heats of 1500. So 200 freestyle.
The coach or team manager, please, from East Lothian.
Sprint event with tactics, the ability to get your pace right on that first 50, hold the middle 2, and hopefully have something a little bit extra for the last length, and certainly if you're in a tough battle, the last 15 metres to the wall. You may see it, of course, as a tight finish in the last couple of metres and couple of strokes, but if the swimmer doesn't make the decision early on, they could have lost the chance to be in that tight battle.
Clear. It's back in 3.
South Aberdeen having a good meet so far. Saw a couple of good swims this morning.
Yeah, they'll come here very well prepared.
200 freestyle. Next one in the 2:15 range.
Always seeing good skills coming out of the Aberdeen team.
Fastest interturns.
Nice long strokes and good starts and turns.
Here we've got 2 minutes and 11 seconds. So see the heats progress and get faster.
So Ailsa just extending her lead as she has done all through the event. Nice compact swimmer, tidy legs, good balance, taking a breath to both sides but keeping that head nice and steady as she applies the power. Head down to the finish, 2:14.37. Very good improvement from a 2:17. Nice swim from Ailsa.
Swum that very well, very sensibly, very even all the way through.
1, 2, 3 there. Ailsa Berg, Catherine.
Yeah, she seemed really in control of it, didn't she?
The key thing, I think, in the event, same as we saw in the 100, is the tactics of it, preparing you for that even spread throughout, not dropping off too much. You just can't afford to mispace it and drop off. You'll end up way off where you want to be.
So 4 heats of the 200 left, and that's the first one gone. So 3 more heats. Just going through 2:16s, then down to 2:14s, then down to 2:11s on the last heat. So you get a block of swimmers all with the same entry time in these slightly slower heats of the same events as this morning.
Good underwaters there, Sean. Utilising most of the 15 metres you're allowed underwater.
Lexi Waller in 6, Ali Morrison in 7, and Lucy Buchan in lane number 8. Next to Mickey in half a second.
The turns after the first 50 metres.
Catherine Fowley of North Ayrshire doing a good job in the first 50. Just keeping it long, keeping it strong. And it's a real lineup just behind her, a couple of metres behind her. But of course you've got to measure from tip of hand to tip of hand. So it's a nice lead even over the first 100.
Yeah, it looks comfortable at the moment as well.
2:16 going through in a 64. Well, massive space for something special.
Oh, definitely. Great race coming up behind as well for second place.
Yeah, the field is strong. Lane 6 is 12-year-old Heart of Midlothian swimmer Lexi Waller. Looked good this morning in the butterfly, and here she is in the freestyle. They're coming at the charge, but Fowley done a lot of good work in the first 150, but very soft off the wall. That was a tired-looking turn. So the field cutting it back, but maybe just not enough time or room to catch the early leader.
Yeah, Lexi Waller coming through strong here at the back end. Really tidy strokes, nice and long. Great technique for a 12-year-old, but maybe just left it a bit late. You've got to really wind up that third 50 to give yourself a chance to be in a race.
Well, first place does go to Fowley in 2:13.44. Good from the 2:16. Second place to Waller, 2:59 it ended up. Again, underneath her 2:16, and a busy day for her. Faster heats in the fly and slower heats in the 100 freestyle. So a very busy morning for the young 12-year-old. Coming to heat 3 then, women's 200 freestyle. So it's underway. In lane 4 is Hatfield's 16-year-old Kate McQuaid, 2:14.8. In lane 6, looking strong at the beginning, Alex Cunningham of East Lothian.
Great start from Alex. Really taking it by the horns.
Again, good skills off the wall, getting out to 5-6 metres. The rest of the field starting now to cut her back. Nice long strokes across the field. Nobody panicking.
To the halfway stage.
Remember, 14, 15, 16 are the ages of the swimmers in the pool at the moment. So still in early development stage, but looking very confident. And the feet going in 104.9, still Cunningham, but not by much, 4 100s. So building now for a nice strong back half.
Yeah, definitely. You can see some of the girls slightly longer strokes starting to come through real strong in this third 50. Really wind up into that wall. That's what you want to do. Really wind up the tempo a bit into that last turn so you can come off and really drive for home. You don't want to leave it too late though.
Well, 4 swimmers together looking for speed onto that wall. And first to rise, lane 5, Megan Felt, South Aberdeen again, just starting to edge away.
Yeah, she swam a smart race right from the start. She hasn't changed anything technically. She just kind of kept that tempo going. Seemed to slightly pick up the rate towards the back end of this 200 metres. It's really smart, really balanced, nice leg drive.
Well, it's what they say about some of these sprint races. 2:12.74 to Megan. That's a very positive time. Entered on 2:14.8, so it's a good improvement. Yeah, it's that last 50. It's all about who decelerates the least. Often it's not somebody who's swimming away, it's just somebody who's holding form and holding pace as the others tire. It's a visual effect, of course.
It's everything that will have happened prior to that that will have really led up to that point as well. It's so vital to get your tactics and your training right.
Indeedy. So heat 4, the last of the heats for the women's 200 freestyle. You'll see that the championships are for the heats taking on an over-the-top start. Swimmer from the previous heat goes to the side and clears the way. This just allows a little bit of extra efficiency, trying to keep the meet on time and not have too long a session. Kimberly Mackay, lane 4, has got the fastest entry time, but her teammate Jordan Sturt in 5, well, a bright start. The black and fluorescent pink suit seems to be doing the business today.
Seems to be pretty common. I'm not sure what that is, but lovely long stroke from the Warrender swimmers in the middle, particularly Jordan Sturt. Really stretching it out.
In one another Warrender swimmer, so they have 4 in this particular heat. 2:13 their slowest, 2:11 their fastest. Going through in 1:03.08. Nice clean technique. Beautiful swim.
Always give you such confidence when you turn after the 100 and there's a bit of a clear water beside you, because undoubtedly you'll be starting to hurt, but everybody else is too. So if you're a little bit in front, you've got a bit of clear water.
Nice pitch swim. Very reminiscent actually of Caitlin McClatchy in her early younger days. Beautiful placement of the hands. Still keeping the tempo. Not pushing all the way through, but just keeping that nice high tempo in the swim. The feet almost over kicking a little bit, David.
Yeah, I think so, a little bit. You can see the heels really coming out of the water. She's got a great leg drive, a great kick from it, but maybe just controlling that a little better might help her.
Really strong finish. Look at this time. Entered on 2:11, in on 2:09. Superb.
It was a very smart race right from the start. You could see the tempo was set out very long, very relaxed.
Confirmation of the result.
Well, the women's 200 freestyle afternoon heats, the finish order of that heat, 209.67. And then the summary, that 209.67 heads it up coming off the afternoon. A very good swim from Jordan Sturt. Good control, the 15-year-old looking good for the future of certainly freestyle swimming. And that 200 is a difficult event to pace and control, so good on her. The 209 we reckon is just outside the B final, so will be a reserve. And of course, as the meet unfolds, the reserve position will become more and more important as swimmers make choices about, you know, whether they do another swim in the B final. If you're out there in the outside lanes and you've maybe got a key event the next day, while we would encourage everybody to do all their events and not to come out of finals, at the end of the day you have to make very powerful and strong decisions.
Just missed out by 3/10 of a second, so it's going to be, we've seen a couple of good swims in these heats.
So we're going to continue with an event that won't be smooth and just as even, but it's the men's 200 butterfly. Well, we have 4 heats, and that's again good for Scottish swimming.
Probably a bit of an ask too much, but I guess for these young...
So many able to cover this 200. As we see the main officials just waiting the approach of the swimmers from the call room.
So we've got youngest in this event is 12 years old, and it goes right through to the eldest at 33. And there's a man that needs some support in the 200-meter butterfly at 33 years old.
So the men for the 200 butterfly getting ready. 5 swimmers. Leach, Broadfoot, Coburn, Deans and Duherich of Warrender. Lanes 2 to 6 occupied here. Times coming in on entry 2:32s. You think that's a long way down from where the A final will be, but again at this afternoon stage it's about development and experience. It's about competing against yourself and, you know, what you've done so far. Long underwater from lane 3, lane 2 there. Ian Leach had put in about 3 strokes before his neighbour Cameron Broadfoot even got started.
It's interesting to see, even at this age, Drew, you see the guys that are starting to work on those key skills and those underwater parts. Just make the most out of the push off the wall. Let's see what happens here. Yeah, so pretty decent attempt at getting some distance underwater and utilising the underwater phase as well as possible. Quite difficult for youngsters to do that.
Well, Broadfoot in 3, of course, 15. You need to have good power in the legs and a technically sound leg kick to be able to drive, first of all, horizontal, maybe slightly downward, and then angle up. And the link between the underwater streamlining with no movement of the arms into the stroke, that's a key connection and often quite difficult for young swimmers.
Quite difficult for senior swimmers as well.
You captured my thought, actually, but I decided to be kind this afternoon and
especially when you come up to this third turn here. I mean, it's difficult to understand. These guys are technically pretty proficient, so yeah, you can tell they're working a bit, but let me tell you, as they come up to this wall and they start push off underwater, there's nothing they'll want to do more than pop up and just take a big almighty breath of air.
Well, into the wall, and then, oh, very shallow from the green-hatted. Finlay Dean's now taking over the lead, but we might get a strong finish from Broadfoot over there in 3. It's got a slightly faster tempo, and in a couple of strokes he's just moved into the lead.
He's managed to hold himself a little flatter and use his feet and his hips a little bit better. Finlay's just managed to drop his feet and his hips have just dropped off a little bit as he's ran out of steam.
2:27s though for the lead, and a tight finish. 2:28 for second place. Remember, they were entered on 2:32s and 2:33s, so it's a good performance. And you can just see that over there in lane 2, Ian Leach from Delting, the 14-year-old, just struggling into the finish. At 2:44. Well, that's probably one of the toughest swims we've seen over the first day. There's the next heat readies. Heat 2.
I think we mentioned earlier, Drew, you can't have anything lacking in your preparation for this event. If there's anything, illness, injury, any form of mistraining, or then you can't sort of, it's not just going to go okay on the day of this event.
A bright positive attack from lane 0. It's Jan Howard, South Aberdeen, the 17-year-old. The rest of the field trailing some 2 or 3 meters behind. Again, butterfly, lots of different technical interpretations, but trying to keep it long, trying to keep it strong. A lot of the leg kicks out the water or low. You can see the angle of the bodies as they get to the wall. And it's a slow turn there from lane 7. Archie Goodburn of Warrender, but he's coming back into the field on the swim, but struggled to get around that wall. Lane 9, Jamie Stewart coming up to challenge for second place. The centre of the pool, the faster entry times of 2:27 and 2:28. Well, they're just being made to look a little pedestrian as Jan Howard of South Aberdeen continues to work hard.
Still trucking on, Stan. Had a very optimistic start. Went out very, very quickly. Struggling now a little bit. Hope he can just hang on to it. Finish his race.
Warrender's Niall, I'm sure. Niall McRoberts, 16 years of age, coming through in the centre of the pool, as is Daniel Ferguson from lane 1. The West Lothian swimmer seems to have wakened up this afternoon and come through for a very strong finish. The touch goes to McRoberts in the middle, 2:27.03. Well, strange event. A lot of hard work over there in lane 0, but just not making it to the wall at the end of the 200 fly. Heat number 2. 2 more heats to come. And we move down to a 2:25 entry from Aaron Stowe. Again, some in the morning, comes back in the afternoon. And with these youngsters in the pool, officials having a little bit of trouble getting them quiet at the start of the event. Anyway, men's afternoon heats, 200 butterfly, heat 3. 227 leading, Stowe on 225 entry, Stuart Gomez and Ian Fletcher in the middle. Fletcher, a 13-year-old, on a 225 entry time. And is this any long-term problem about entry time? Some are, you know, entered on what seemed to be very fast times, and then, you know, they're 10, 11 seconds off that time.
No, I think that for the most part, the entry times are pretty robust. I think there has to be a proof and done at a proper kind of ratified event to get into the national events. I think it all just depends. We saw earlier on Andrew McGovern 100-metre freestyle was miles ahead of his entry time, but it might just be that he never really does that event that often, you know.
Yeah.
So so you'd expect there would be a big difference. And other times there's things that you don't know about. Perhaps some people have been ill or injured or not training so much or away with school or something. So it's quite difficult. You wouldn't expect always to be people right on their entry time, but I would imagine at this age that the entry times are probably their PBs.
Yeah, well, let's hope so. But so some swimmers having a very erratic set of results here. Aaron Stowe, a wonderful 1500 this morning. Maybe that's had a big effect on his 200 butterfly as he trails the field back there in, you know, 6th, 5th place. Going well in 5 then. Ian Fletcher, Mulgai and Bearsden, the 13-year-old, taking on 15, 16-year-olds. Digging in hard. 225.89. Starting to be caught at the end of the 200 by Adam Airley of North Lanark. The 15-year-old with every stroke cutting it down. Fletcher hanging on for dear life here. And he gets the single button, 222.61. It's a very good PB. We're going to give him that, 222.61. And a nice victory against these older swimmers, and a couple of years to get in the training in the background and the development work.
Definitely swam a real smart race there, Ian. Looked really strong, didn't change his breathing patterns throughout the race. Very consistent, very smooth all the way. Dropped a wee bit at the end, but you'd expect that with a 13-year-old in the 200 fly.
Well, heat 4 sees William Poynton from Portsmouth, North Sea, the 15-year-old. Yeah, Coach Lindsay up with 4 Anglo-Scots who made it in. And Poynton, 220.48. And right from the off, he's out there. Very strong leg kick and push through at the end of the arm action. Going with him at this stage in lane 8, James McFarlane of West Lothian. Well, adrenaline's up at the beginning of the 200. You just have to watch you don't go out a little bit too hard.
Definitely, patience critical. Keeping it as easy as possible at this stage will be so important.
Going well, the City of Glasgow swimmer in 0, Stuart Leonard. Just out there in the sticks, doing his job. Keeping it as long as possible. The halfway touch going to McFarlane in 104.48. West Lothian, 16-year-old, in on a 222. Well, he's certainly given himself a good chance. Now, the killer third quarter of any swim, especially the tough swims, the 200 fly, the 400 IM, the 1500, that third quarter, so difficult. It's where it starts to really hurt and give you problems and challenges. Often a psychological point for swimmers in the race to apply pressure to the opponents. There's a race across the pool, but they'll not be aware of each other. 0, 5 and 8, the lead lanes.
Nick Valentine from City Newcastle, 33 years of age, competing against these guys half his age, representing us old duffers. Go on, Nick.
It's going to be very tight.
Good strong finish though from top of the picture there, holding the stroke together very, very nicely.
So Leonard did get the touch, 2:18.53, 2:22.77. That's the kind of bite you want to take out of a 200 butterfly, regardless of your level. That's a tough swim, good commitment, and held on at the end. Leonard 2:18, Valentine in the middle, and Duffy 2:20.52. 21s and 23s after that. So from the summary of the event, Valentine goes into second place, and that 2:18 looking good at the top of the afternoon heats. Well, maybe the crowd will get a little bit more involved. They seem to have lost attention on it. Anything over 90 seconds.
Yeah, absolutely.
So here we come with the 50s following up.
That'll spice it up a little bit.
So 2:18.5 then, a 200 butterfly. Nick Valentine at 2:20 in second place from the heat swims. A lot of swimmers improving their 200 butterfly, but one or two swimmers definitely off the pace and not swimming that well, but it looks as though Mr. Stowe, who was drawn to our attention this morning in the 1500, the 15-year-old, obviously a step too far in the same day, 1500 in the morning, 200 fly in the afternoon. That's a very unusual combination.
Yeah. Wouldn't fancy that one.
So 2:07. 5 performance swim scored here. The officials just having a chat about how things are going. Remember, many of them could be on show and in the public spotlight at the Games in July, August. Tow cross facility well sold out for the Games, and they're going to raise the roof here. Going to be a great atmosphere for the Commonwealth countries. Number of trials going on at the moment. The Canadians still to come. The Australians just finishing off. The Scots. And then next week it's the British Championships, but it's hopefully more about the English and the Welsh and maybe some of the Irish qualifying from there. We turn our attention now from the tough 200 butterfly to the women's 50-metre backstroke. We have 6 heats in this afternoon session for the 50. Obviously the shorter events popular and more people can make the qualifying time. The first heat sees Dundee City Aquatics and Tristan Jones with a 34.9. Will she be able to turn that into victory as the fastest time on entry?
It's quite tough for some of the youngsters to really use that backstroke start to its full advantage. Very tough skill to perform. Requires a lot of flexibility, a lot of coordination, a lot of power to get up and over the water, get your hips clear of the water, and then back down to the underwater phase.
Good swim in lane 6, Emma Scully, North Ayrshire. A 13-year-old swimmer nicks it, 33.54. Lovely little swim. I like the tempo of that. She's entered on a 35 and goes 33.54, and obviously sets the event up for a rolling method of improving on every heat. Heat 2 sees 14-year-olds, a couple of 17-year-olds, and a little 12-year-old over in lane 0, Meredith Scott from South Lanark. So maybe the spectators will pick up the drills, the procedures. No swimmer in lane 2. Erin Cooper is out. As expected, Meredith Scott first to get into the stroke. And in the centre, Ellie Neal of Warner, the 14-year-old, 34.4. Very stylistic.
Yeah, strong start from Ellie. Very long stroke. Nice high tempo and keeping her head pretty still. Just needs to keep that going, spot the flags and then count the strokes. Maybe just lane 8, just going to nick it. Zoe Scott just pinches it. Outside smoker from Zoe Scott and Cara Hanlon taking second place.
Well, a 33.54 from the first heat, still leading the way, but it's a nice 33.76 from Zoe Scott, City of Glasgow, and the event moves on very swiftly. Heat 3, and we see Megan Bowie again from Aberdeen, the 15-year-old, a 34.00 in lane 4, probably one to watch, but as you can well see on the 50, some surprises are happening. In the middle, Kate Jones, Claire Dow, Megan Bowie, Emma Thoyers, Paige Lang, 18 years of age, in amongst the 13, 14, 15-year-old. A long start from lane 5. Emma Thoyers of Broch up there in the northeast corner. A good aggressive swim over in 0. Samantha Simpson from South Lanark. You see a beautifully quiet stroke in lane 3 from Claire Dow.
Yeah, lane 9 going well as well. Just again, just on the outside where nobody can see you, just getting down.
Well, 33.77. This is what we want. A 33.54 from heat 1, setting the cat amongst the pigeons. All these heat swims coming after the winner, Emma Scully. Getting a surprise that she went just so fast, 33.54. And heat 4, Georgia Lynch, Mulgine Bearsden, 33.7. Now she'll have to obviously improve that if she wants to take over the lead spot. None of these really expected to make it into the main finals, but you just never know. A couple of adjustments there in lane 2 from Olivia Reid of Aberdeen. Not happy with the bar. As you can see, as we get older and stronger, we can get over the water. Oh, just inside the 15 for lane 2 and Olivia Reid. But good judgment.
Yeah, that was obviously something that they've practiced. She came right up on the 50-metre mark.
Caroline McIntosh, of course, taking over this in lane 0. Really right against the wall of the pool there in lane 0, but takes the touch. 32.61.
Seen that time and time again in the outside lanes of these 50-metre events, Drew. We just get these guys that just get the head down and just go for it, you know.
Yeah, all the expectation on the centre lanes as the times are grouped into bands of 10, and the fastest time going into the middle. Heat 5, Katie Johnson, 5 performance group, 33.41 entry. Just seen a 32.61 from a 33.7 entry. So, in fact, it was a 33.9 entry for Caroline McIntosh. So good swim from the Coast Swimmer. City of Aberdeen. So northeast preparation looking good in this first day. Aberdeen, South Aberdeen coast, all swimming quite well. All 10 swimmers ready in heat number 5. Well, a lot of action underwater, but not a lot of distance from some swimmers. Lovely little start in lane 6 by Caitlin Burns of Stirling. Measured it superbly well. Obviously, you've got to be a bit gymnastic to get yourself down underwater and then back up. And it takes a lot of practice to get it to be judged to 14.5 meters. So a nice little compact swim, good start, and a nice finish from Burns at 32.67.
Really determined swim right from the start, Drew. Right from the gun to the wall, you could tell that she's very, very determined to get a good job done there.
Yeah, power pack swimmer, small, dynamic, gymnastic, and made it count. Because obviously up against much taller swimmers, Burns at 18. Still swimming 32s, and we move to the 6th and final heat. The top entry that was left after the morning heats, it's a 32.9 to Niamh Ritchie of Warrender. Again, Warrender with 4 swimmers in the same heat. Lerwick, 5 in fact for Warrender. And up there, lane 0, Megan Petersdottir of Lerwick, the 17-year-old. All the way down here.
So again, 3 Warrender swimmers, 4 Warrender swimmers, 3 of them right in the centre, 1 in lane 9 at the top. Lane 9 really gunning it here, really going for it.
Well, Jordan Sturt, of course, had a really good 200 fly, so 200 freestyle rather, and here she comes out of there nice and warm and slips a 50 backstroke in 31.6.
Standing swim.
It's not only fast enough for the big final,
it's we're going to check to see if that swim 31.6, it's pretty swift and might even make an A or a B final. So the 200 freestyle, which she swam well, paced well, just warmed her up nicely.
Yeah, obviously done a bit of work as well. Really looks like she's expecting PBs every time she jumps in the water. It's a nice position to be in.
What makes you say that?
I don't know. You just get that sense when I saw her coming out of the pool there. She didn't look over elated, suggesting, well, I've done a PB, okay, fine, whatever, next. You know, I think at this age sometimes they do take these progressions and personal bests for granted, maybe.
Well, they'll learn it gets harder and harder.
Yeah. Yeah, progression is never going to be just linear and easy, you know.
So the 50 backstroke ending up with a 31.6. Some nice tidy swims from the leaders. A lot of swimmers just outside their personal best, but always difficult on a 50 to get that improvement. And, you know, one small mistake in the 50 and, you know, the event slips away from you. Doesn't need much. You don't have a lot of time. You got to put a lot of things in to a short distance and a short space of time. So, you know, one mistake has a very big magnifying effect on a 50. No one better to talk about that, David, than your good self.
Yeah, definitely. I think it's so true. I mean, there's more to it than meets the eye. You know, there's a lot of tactics and a lot of pacing that goes into the 50 as well, because it's far too long for you just to jump in and swim as fast as you can. You'll slow down far too much. So you've got to find that fine line between easy speed and nice, long, efficient technique, and still going as quickly as you can and having enough in the tank through 30, 35, 40 meters and into the wall, so that you don't slow down too much.
Do you have an example, a personal example of where you made a slight mistake or something happened in a race and it just, you know, maybe put you just outside your best or expected swim?
Yeah, well, obviously, I mean, I think for me throughout my career, is obviously the physical aspect of the sport became quite important. So there was times, I think, where I focused on it too much and forgot about the efficiency and the effectiveness of technique, and then try just to kind of muscle my way through the water, you know. And you find that when 30, 35 and 40 meters comes along, that you're jamming up, you know, you're not able to use the power that you have to maintain your velocity, and you actually end up swimming quite slowly. So I think it's not just tactically on the day, it's everything tied into the training and how you approach the race, and everything is designed to make you as fast and as efficient as possible, so that you can have the velocity. But it's quite easy to get the velocity. It's quite difficult to hold it throughout the 50.
Well, after 9-10 seconds, the human body's run out of the first store of energy, and it's about controlling that deceleration to the best of your ability.
Yeah. And maintaining the stroke length and the stroke rate without slipping too much, and the energy it takes to do that throughout the 50 just becomes, you know, almost exponential.
This one is an interesting one, isn't it? Because you want to sprint for a 50. It's a short distance, so people go quick. But if you go too quick in the breaststroke, it's very easy to lose the hold on the water.
Definitely, you lose the hold and the timing of the pull and the kick and the glide. It's very difficult to do. We saw Joe Wellstead swimming a PB at 27.91 this morning, and he was targeting swim about 90 to 95% for the heat, and I think that's the best place to be, you know, just long, smooth, and hold on to your technique.
Well, these swimmers entering the 50 breaststroke event saw that British record and world ranked swim this morning. Hope it didn't put them off. And Samuel Jones entered on 35.6, slipping in a 33.25. A lot of people have a connection with this event, as this is the stroke they learn first, or this is the one they do on holiday, and this is the one if they don't want their perm spoiled, or if they've got a fear of the water, they keep their head up. So a lot of people know this stroke, but very difficult to get it technically right. That leg kick really catches many people out. Second heat, nice and complete. Rory Stewart in 4, the 17-year-old Highland swimmer, 34.2. Almost stuck underwater there, I thought.
Yeah, he did. It kind of hung about under the water a little bit too long.
Yeah, you need to smooth out the link, the breakout between the underwater phase, which is complicated enough for many, and the first of the strokes on the surface of the water. But he's come back very powerful, but not enough to take lane 6. Oh no, it's out there in lane 8. Josh Mitchell just gets it by 2 100ths. 32.61. We've moved down very swiftly. You can see when you think about the 27.28 new British record this morning from Ross Murdoch. You can't imagine that he's swimming, you know, 5 seconds faster than what you've just seen in the pool. These guys trying their best.
It wasn't so long ago Ross was here and with these kids, you know.
Heat 3. You can almost tell from the underwater link, can you, who's going to swim well?
Yeah. Yeah, you can see who can hold on to that momentum up into the stroke, and it really spreads them out straight away. If you can just hold that into the last 10 and 15 meters, it's gonna stand you in good stead.
Oh, a real race now. In 3, Callum Robertson really starting to stretch, but in 5, Grant Ogilvie coming strong at the end, but the cross burns 33.41. A very tight race there. A lot of swimmers trying too hard, I felt. And of course you had a 32.6 in the previous heat. And that then sets the gauntlet down. And a lot of tight swims in there, both in the start and the middle phase, really driving. Some very strong swimmers. Grant Ogilvie looking a very powerful prospect, but very tight on the technique. As we move to the 4th and final heat of the 50s, the breaststroke, Ewan Dalgleish, West Lothian, possibly the favourite on a 33.1 entry. Left at the start, so he's got it all to do in the stroke. Lane 6, Martin Kerry, Dundee University, starting to take a lead. Next door, Dundee University's Adam Murray, not letting him away with it as he drives through. Also in 3, Johnson Shearer in the mix, City of Glasgow. And the favourite has gone. As lane 6 takes it, Martin Kerry, 31.15. Good to see that the event ends up on a fast swim of 31.5. And a lot of these swimmers in the development stage, or maybe even at the end of the career, difficult to get under 30.
Very difficult. I think there's a couple of uni swimmers in there, a couple of guys from Dundee Uni, so maybe not had the most amount of time to prepare or whatever, but 31 low is a pretty respectable swim over the 50.
Yeah, you can always come out and do a good 50. Well, one anyway.
Yeah.
Just don't ask for a second.
Well, that's what I thought about this morning, watching Ross and Joe and a couple of other guys, Mark Tully in the 50. Although it was a very, very fast 50 time, it looked like they could have turned around and come back.
Yeah.
I think it does bode well for the 100-metre event.
Yeah. Of course, you have to start thinking about the psychology of swimming in the heats and in the top meets, the semis and the finals. You know, sometimes you get the best world records or European records in a semi.
Yeah.
You know, there's a lot of freedom there. In the final, it's about places, medals and racing, and
yeah,
you know, the whole structure of that changes.
Definitely. I think maybe sometimes too much expectation on the athlete's part as well, is it becomes a bit of a burden, as opposed to just jumping in and doing something and relaxing and just going for it, you know.
Start off with the 100-metre butterfly.
So the women's 400 individual medley sees the last of the individual events for day 1, and then we finish with one heat of a 4x200 metre relay for the women. So here we have 4 heats, and we're out at 5:41, 5:42 for the first heat. And again, Orkney, Lerwick, the Broch, all represented. It's good to see that it's certainly a national championships.
Definitely, the variety of the clubs is quite astonishing, really, isn't it? I mean, you've been to other championships and other sports, and in comparison, I think the depth of the clubs and the number of clubs is quite staggering.
Yeah, good to see a lot of the lottery money and the national government money being used for pool conversion, pool build, and you know, keeping that in front of our community. As an island community, we need it. You know, if nothing else, you can hardly go 2 miles and not hit a major patch of water. So it's good that swimming still is a priority, even within community and local politics development.
Definitely.
Heat 1 of 4, women's 400 IM. Maybe time to give you a little lineup, all you parents and family out there. Gerra Sinclair of Orkney, Emmy Hutchison of Lerwick, and Emma Thoyers of Brock. You've heard the names before. Libby Adams of Warrender, Rebecca Mathewson Stirling, Kate Story Helensburgh, Imogen Buse of Coast, and then Beth McFarlane of Midlothian, and Abby Mitchell, South Lanark. The 13-year-old is in lane 8 in this very tough event.
Story from Helensburgh, and 6, Imogen Buse from Coast, in 7.
So all the skills out, everything has to come out the cupboard. All strokes, links between strokes, turns within strokes, and then the application of a performance.
There's some tweets coming in here, Drew.
Yeah.
Got one from somebody called Lynn who says, is that Drew Gordon, the ex-Grangemouth ASC coach from 40 years ago?
Sad to say yes, Lynn.
Says, you inspired me and I now coach at Kinross Otters. Go Otters.
Well, lovely thing to write, lovely thing to hear, I can tell you. If you inspire anybody to do anything.
40 years, is that right, Drew?
Let me think. You talk and I'll count. Yeah, I have been in the sport that long, but in different forms, as you well know. But yeah, 1971, we moved Grangemouth from basically a teaching club with a little team selection to early morning training. I put a notice up, David. 60 swimmers turned up for morning training with 3 lanes.
Wow.
We had to sort that out very quickly.
Had they been to bed the night before?
Maybe not, as it was the first time they'd ever done morning training. 400 IM, just building in the backstroke, trying to hold the form of the stroke. This is the weakest of the 4 disciplines. In terms of the mechanics, you're on your back in the supine position, your levers are all in weak positions, and therefore you need excellent technique if you're going to get strength and power out of the actual stroke technique. Good rotation required along the spinal central column. Nice high shoulder lift, but keep the head steady, otherwise you'll rock and roll. Into the breaststroke, and again the strength of the breaststroke normally pays off in the medley. You can see them just cutting back on the leader. He's not quite got the strongest leg kick, not a lot off the arms, so the breaststrokers coming to challenge in the 3rd quarter.
Yeah, breaststroke, tough event in the 400 medley. You really can't afford to have a weak breaststroke in the medley, because obviously you'll spend the most time on that stroke in that event. So there's big gains to be made by making some progress in breaststroke. I just find backstroke has been a very tough part of the medley swim, because you can breathe as much as you want, and sometimes you can lose your rhythm, get a bit sort of hyperventilate a little bit too much, take too much air in, as opposed to just staying relaxed and keeping the rhythm going. But
well, the lead not changing hands, David, but certainly the shape of the race changing as 4 or 5 swimmers move up into a clear 2nd place. Remember, entry times on 5:39, 5:41, a crowd on 5:41, so they're looking to take a good chunk off that if they can.
Yeah, and a good smart race from Kate Story. She looks like she's doing the typical tactics of, you know, a pretty solid leg on each stroke, and then really building the 2nd leg on each part of each stroke. So set your stall out through the first 50 and then just bring it in, and do that basically 4 times across the different strokes.
Yeah, changing strokes calls for a lot of focus and concentration, and you eat up quite a bit of distance before you get into the rhythm of the next stroke. But here on freestyle, got a chance to pick up, maybe have a little sprint finish. And although they're all putting the skills together, be nice to see somebody really have a go at the finish. Just feel like you said there that, you know, that so many summers are getting out and they look fresh, you know, they look as if, hey, I had more in me.
Very close for third place, second place.
Story then leading 5:34 from a 5:40. And the other summers in tidily underneath their 5:41s. And just completing the event, lane 0, Keris Sinclair of Orkney. Only 14, good experience. Nice swim at 5:54, a little bit outside the entry time, but we're here for the experience in the afternoon session, and certainly in the first heat of the 4 on the medley. In the centre of the second heat, Jenny Adams of Best, 5:33 entry, and she has a 5:33 on either side. Well, long haul between whistle and start. And Summers, good discipline shown. Can't afford to go early nowadays. No false starts allowed.
No, you've got to be very, very stable on the blocks. Any moving at all and they'll hold you back. If you move before the gun, you're done.
Lane 0 then with the early lead. Orla Edwards, Bid for Fame from Ufford. Up there again in the northeast corner. Covering her in lane 3, Christy Johnson of Geary, Hannah Miley's home club. Johnson doing the business in the 400 IM. Lane 6, Katie Lilly of South Lanark, a 12-year-old, doing well on the early difficult leg, a leg that does need a little bit of strength and power. You can see that the two summers together, the stockier build in lane 7, Alex Muir, just cutting down that early lead by the youngster Lily of South Lanark. The butterfly out of the way. And across the pool, 3-4 summers bidding for the lead. And let's see if there's any backstrokers lurking and can make a break in this leg. There's a strong link between backstroke and butterfly, but when you put them together like this, it well, can be tough. One has a detrimental effect on the other, and you've got to quickly get into your rhythm here. Don't know if you can pick it up, but next door to the gold lanes in lane 6 there, young 12-year-old just overreaching on the entry, wrapping her arm round her head and losing a bit of strength there, but it's sorting itself out now. Lane 5 in heat 2, Anne Hutchison of Lerwick, well behind on the field, so unless she has a super back half, she's going to be well outside that 5:33 entry time. Now a chance for the Summers to come onto the breaststroke and maybe take a quick look across the pool. Not encouraged, but often happens, just to see where people are, how much effort you might need to make to take the lead or move up through the field.
Yeah, Orla Edwards swimming a great race up in lane 0 here at the top of the picture. Just outside the shot at the moment, but really stretching out a bit of a lead on the breaststroke leg. Really high, long stroke. It's going to be a good race into the back end of this breaststroke and freestyle leg.
12, 13, 14, 15-year-old Summers in the pool at the moment.
3 seconds was the gap, 3:27.60.
So it's development, it's experience,
3 seconds,
and good to see such a big batch of 400 IMers.
Substantial lead, I think.
Yeah, and hopefully a lot of learning going on at this stage with these guys. Learning a lot every time they race, every time they travel, every time they do something that means a lot to them.
So the field staying pretty much as it had ended up after the backstroke. A good little battle in the middle between Jenny Adams and Christy Johnson, but it's Orla Edwards out there in lane 0, top of your picture.
Take that lead. She moves on to the freestyle leg. First position.
And into the freestyle. Nice strong leg kick at the beginning. So she's ready for a freestyle finish. Again, head to head between lanes 3 and 4. Lane 7, Alex Muir of Dumfries starting to cut into the freestylers a little bit. A bit ragged in one by Kate Saxon of South Lanark, but she's up with the race. She's a fighter, she's a competitor. She's not quite as tidy as some just before her, as Edwards begins to tire. And I fancy that lane 4, Jenny Adams, might put that to the test in this last 50.
Yeah, definitely. Good strong finish from Orla Edwards up at the top, lane 0 though. Showing a pretty solid race all the way through.
Glad to see the wall there with 50 to go. In lane 1, Kate Saxon, a good fight through the freestyle. Nice strong finish. Very fit.
Edwards does take it, 5:35.
So Orla Edwards then, 14-year-old, 5:35.7 against her 5:38.9 entry. Two heats of the IM to go. Moving down to 5:29s, 5:30s. You can see that each heat, moves it down considerably. Faster heats this morning. Hannah Miley showing a very comfortable, intelligent swim. Still swimming, good pace, but well within capabilities, and notching up a qualifying time without much opposition. Sad to say, it's one of the things that can happen when you get a single swimmer from a small country who, goes up to the top level and becomes a very solitary world sometimes.
Yeah, definitely.
Heat 3 then, up and running. In 2, we've got Catherine Lithgow just trailing on the first 50 of fly, going well in 1, Ailsa Gordon, and in lane 3, Fiona Thornton from famous club of Hatfield down there in London.
Coached by Ian Wright now.
Yeah.
Previously coaching at Warrender.
Yeah, and beautiful little tidy stroke, but a lot of work going into it for a 400. But sometimes that can happen with a young swimmer. You can just wind up the key and let it go. You'd hope there was more thought, and I'm sure there is, to the swim as she goes through in 1:12. Built up a good lead. And again, nice little high tempo swim on the backstroke. A number of swimmers in the field just beginning to look at the backstroke as they come through. Heat 3, 5:29 Niamh Ritchie in 4. She's back in 3rd or 4th place.
Sneak into one of those finals tonight.
And 3, Fiona Thornton digging in.
Very high turnover still, Drew. You're right.
Yep.
Sometimes it's, like you say, sometimes it's not a bad thing. Sometimes some athletes can just have quite a high tempo and be quite efficient, quite effective with it for quite a long period of time. Certainly looks that way. Looks quite comfortable. Looks quite relaxed. Still keep the tempo up.
Lane's number 7, watch for that. Sally Mayer is, from the Broch has come through on the backstroke. A very strong backstroke leg. You can just see her picking up the leader at the halfway mark. Oh, it's Cavins. Charlie Cavins have warned her. Good backstroke leg and definitely into a long breaststroke, but again, is it too slow? Are we getting enough length? Is the streamlining good? And now coming into contention, lane 4, Niamh Ritchie, the 5:29 point summer. Obviously, butterfly slightly weaker across the 4. But this breaststroke bringing her back into a little race in heat 3.
Yeah, Niamh looking strong here actually. Just starting to come through, looking a wee bit fresher, a wee bit more sprightly than the other guys.
Others coming back into contention now. Richard coming through, Warner swimmer. Lane number 4, she was the fastest entry time.
Again, lane 7. Charlie Cavins hanging in. Very tall 14-year-old. Again, can be difficult to get the power weight and the coordination just right when you're so tall and rangy. You saw the very tidy and compact Thornton put in a good first half, losing it on the breaststroke. But maybe she'll come back on the freestyle. She's certainly a competitor. She's certainly going out for it. And a couple of other freestylers now joining the race to see if they can haul back Charlie Cavins in this last 100.
Yeah, Charlie's looking good though. Looking pretty strong. She'll get a lot of confidence off this last turn if she can just hold it together, push off and see a bit of clear water beside her. And just get drive for home. She'll be delighted to see the last wall.
Challenging, also Niamh Ritchie. Moving into 2nd position, but Cavins has gone out well there.
Held the streamlining. Starting to drive. It's been a good swim from the butterfly onwards. Charlie Cavins work on that first quarter. And we've got together a really decent medley. 5:32 then. Charlie Cavins comes with the entry time. She's going to be dropping 5 or 6 seconds. 5:26.77. And good race in the middle for 2nd place. It went to Thornton in 5:29. And just taking it by a few 100s from Niamh Ritchie. Thought Ritchie might have had more in her at the end, but it wasn't to be. Thornton coming through to that 2nd place. Good competitor from Hatfield. Out aggressively and strong. Lost their way a little bit between the end of the backstroke and the breaststroke leg, but strong in the freestyle. One more heat then. And your fastest entry time in lane 4 is Anya Reid, 14-year-old from first at 5:29.8. And a lot of 5:30s and 5:32s. Final heat, 400 IM.
Yeah, these girls will be looking to get something solid put together. All of them in a line. Good technique from the Carnegie swimmer, Erin Rafferty. Just needs to discipline that breathing pattern a little bit. Not be too erratic with the breathing, to have a plan on it. It's very important to hold your rhythm.
Erin Rafferty, Sally Bingham,
sometimes going with one breath down, so breathing every two, sometimes going every stroke. It's incredibly difficult to discipline that and just train it so that you can maintain a rhythm and know exactly what it is that you're going to do, and you practice the same skill every time you do it. It's gone out very, very quickly though.
Yeah, we saw a 112 out. Now a 111.9 on the butterfly. Well, she's left the field, and faster times in the middle, but she's looking very comfortable in the backstroke. Over in lane 1, Emma Scully, North Ayrshire, had a good 200 freestyle, remember. Here she is in the 400 IM, 13 years of age. Nice momentum off each stroke. Sometimes you see the arms working and not a lot of distance per stroke coming. And then other swimmers seem to look as if they're swimming treacle.
Yeah, sometimes you see a small swimmer, a small kid, and they look big in the water. And sometimes you see a big kid or a big adult and they look small when they swim. It's a strange thing.
Well, holding on to the lead, but a couple of swimmers just cutting that butterfly leg gap down a little bit. Now back to breast, let's just see, oh, confidence in the tumbling in. And getting on with the business, Erin Rafferty trying to find the pace. Did 2 or 3 quick strokes and then seemed to settle down. Again, the anxiety of maybe not feeling the breaststroke initially.
Yeah, nice breaststroke technique, but getting matched stroke for stroke now by Emma Scully up the top with a very flat stroke.
Next to her, there's 1-2 coming through strongly.
See some of the breaststroke swimmers starting to reel the other guys in a little bit. That 100-meter breaststroke can be a long way if you're not technically proficient.
Yeah, well, of course your kick on the butterfly and kick on the backstroke needs to be tempered a little bit so that you have that available energy and power in the legs on the breaststroke. You can see that Rafferty's working well, but having to add her arm action to the leg action, distance off the legs, probably not as good as she could get at her best, but she's managing to hold off the challenge of that, as you said, David, very, very flat stroke of Emma Scully's over there in lane 1. 100 free to go then, turning in 4:13. What can we manage? 5:30, the entry time for the Carnegie swimmer. 15 years of age. Taking her opportunity in 2 hands. And really driving through this front crawl. In fact, all the swimmers looking good on the freestyle, so, you know, not collapsing.
No, a lot of good, double breathe into the wall there. Apart from that, Erin's been really, really strong, really solid across all 4 strokes.
And it looks like Rafferty is going to take this one.
Should be well within that entry time, Drew, I think.
Oh yeah, she's got her eye on that, but there's a lot of energy left in those legs.
Yeah.
Not sure she's getting the best out of the stroke, but it's a very small thing I'm picking up.
It's going to be beaten a good swim to finish this afternoon.
5:27. Oh, really nice. 5:26.7 in the last heat, 5:27 there. So not quite the fastest of the heats, but Erin Rafferty, the 15-year-old from the Carnegie Club, really strokes out her 5:36.9 from her logbook and slots in a 5:27.11. Good swim from Rafferty. Scully close behind, 5:29.9, and then you're into the low 30s, which was about the entry time for most of the remaining swimmers. The 26 and 27 heading with a few 29s in there, and that concludes the 400 IM.
So one more piece of action in this afternoon's session, and as Paul mentioned, we have the first heat of the women.
So we have a relay now to look forward to. The heats, of course, the heat times stand, and like the 1500, there will be a ranking of all the times, and that determines which place you're in finally. So the first heat, lanes 2, 3, 4, 5 and 6. That's First, North Lanark, South Lanark, Perth and Stirling. And their times will stand, and it's really up to the faster entry times from the remaining teams. Coast, Stirling, South Lanark, First, Glasgow, Warrender, East Lothian, Dumfries, West Lothian and Wren 96 to beat the times from Heat 1. Now on entries, of course, that puts them into Heat 1 or Heat 2, but on the day it's a timed event, with the second heat being swum in tonight's finals. That session starting at 17:30 British Standard Time. If you're watching us from abroad, then you'll need to calculate and set your alarms, and some will not go to bed and some will make an early rise, of course. Remember, we do want your comments using Twitter on the hashtag of SGNC 2014. Get them coming in, and as you've heard, there's been one or two interesting ones, but we would like to know more from you that are watching, as we get the introduction to the women's 4x200 metre freestyle relay. An event that, well, many years ago, many clubs in Scotland couldn't manage to put a team together. Having 4 swimmers who could swim a decent 200 freestyle in a relay was a difficulty, but it's nice to see the face of this event change absolutely dramatically.
Yeah, definitely. It's a real fun thing for the guys to do, is swim as a team as well.
Heat number 1.
Most of the time you're just worrying about your own personal best, but there's nothing that brings out the best in you like having to perform for your teammates, I think.
Yeah, the honours and the glory tend to go to the individual swims, but there's a different buzz. And last year's championships, remember, Rennick set the place alight with his final leg in the 4x2. Absolutely wonderful swim.
Yeah, absolutely. He's done that a number of times.
I wonder if he plans it.
He's just a tough racer, Robbie, you know.
Yeah.
He's just a very experienced racer, and he always was. Even when he was young, he knew how to place himself in a race to give himself the best chance possible. And I don't know whether that was taught or whether they're working it deliberately, or certainly he's a tough competitor and he's a tough guy at having a race. So he's very astute about who's swimming in and around about him, so he'll know how to get himself into a chance to really come home strong. And he's so strong at the back end of the race as well. You can never really count him out.
But there's a big expectation on moving that wonderful record that he has. You know, down. It's been a long time.
Oh, definitely. Well, it always will. So he'll have that on himself as well. And he'll be wanting to emulate the gold medal that he won in Delhi in that 200 metre, definitely. And he knows he'll have to pick up his game in terms of the times he's been swimming. But I think that's why he's still in the sport, you know, to do that.
Well, this is the last swim of the afternoon session. 4x200 freestyle relay. Let me remind you of the teams. And also to remind you that as you look at the pool, lane 0 is furthest away, lane 9 is nearest to us, so you have to remember 0, 1, 2. So the first swim is in lane 2, that's the first group. Then there's North Lanark in 3, South Lanark in 4, Perth is in 5, and in lane 6 it's Stirling. It's a 200 freestyle. Some of the swimmers this relay will have swum in the earlier heats this afternoon, and of course there might be 1 or 2 swimmers who swam this morning in the faster heats who come into a relay contention. Going well at the moment. In 5 it's Perth and Erin Cummins.
4x200 metre freestyle really is one of the toughest races to pace as well, you know, because you're in a relay setting, you're in a relay environment. You want to jump in and race the people that are next to you, but at the same time it's a long way to die, you know. It's a long way to, if you mispace it. So it's a really tough thing to do, get that pacing right in the 4x200 metres, between doing your own race and also trying to make up some ground or trying to stay ahead for your team.
Yes, and very important that you leave some speed at the end, because you want to be going in on a speed that you've practiced to take over.
Yeah,
if you're tiring there, then all the decision making is different.
It's all out the window, and you'll be opening yourself up to disqualifications or just a very slow takeover, neither of which you want.
Yeah, you'd think with 4x200 and that long time that you spend. So 2:13.51. It's a good start for the Perth team. Cummins, Thompson, Regan Doig and Kirsty Pitts.
Third place. Third team, I've got Freya Thompson in on this.
Yeah, that's the dilemma. If you're leading, do you try and stretch the lead? And if you're like second and third, as you see there in lanes 3 and 4, do you blast up the first 50 and try and catch up on the race, and then find that later on, penalty?
Yeah.
Pay the fine.
Yeah, I think it entirely depends, you know. I think you have to have an idea about how you're going to swim your own race within the relay setting. And most of these guys will be pretty experienced and know what they're doing and how to pace a 200 metre event. But at the same time, they will be looking at who's around them and trying to put their team into the best shape. And I would think if you get head to head with somebody and you get an opportunity to move in front of them, you're probably likely to take it.
Kerry Kelly, Tara Hayworth, India Dodd,
well, Freya Thompson, 13 years of age, in a 4x200 relay. The lead has been cut slightly, but she's doing such a good job for the team, being chased in lane 4 by Bobby Gregg of South Lanark, and she's managed to create a gap to the North Lanark Rachel Spears. So you're talking about 13 and 14 year olds here in a women's 4x200. But good to see, nice racing and nice control of the individual components. So easy to make a mistake. And maybe coming back into a really good race as Bobby Gregg cuts down that lead.
Putting a fantastic leg for a team there, Bobby. Really giving herself a chance, giving the team a chance to get back into this race.
Yeah, real competitor, but starting to get a bit ragged. You can see that Freya Thompson has kept the form long and strong, going into the wall, and a nice takeover, very safe. Regan Doig took the gold medal in the multi-class this morning in the 200 freestyle. And this is an exact situation that David was talking about. Rosie Wynn in South Lanark team going third, has already caught up on the lead swimmer. But difficult to keep that going over the 200.
Yeah, definitely. But she looks strong, she looks good, she looks confident. Like I said, if you get an opportunity to move in front, you're probably likely to take it. But the danger is in a 200 that you don't often know you're going too fast until it's too late. Feels easy at the time.
Finally, a little bit of balance by Rosie Wynn, putting in a breath to the right-hand side, but she prefers that left-hand side, I think. Well, she's at her halfway mark in 5:39 for the team, and stretching that lead nicely. Good strong kick and a nice stretch. Very high head position, but driving through. Well back on this 4x2 in 3 in third place, North Lanark. And then across the pool, First and Stirling pretty equal. As Rosie Wynn coming to hand over to Rachel Saxon. Stretching. A very solid component for the Perth team from Regan Doig, but not able to put any brakes on Rosie Wynn. She hands over a fairly substantial lead to the anchor swimmer, Rachel Saxon.
Rosie Wynn will hand over to Rachel Saxon on the final
Very
leg.
strong
6:49. Sorry, David.
Very, very strong leg from Rosie.
Next will go in for Perth City. Clear in second position. North Lanarkshire.
South Lanark.
In third, Natasha Smith.
Good
She will be handing over to
10-metre lead here. And the responsibility for Perth is with Kirsty Pitts, again a 14-year-old, Saxon a 15-year-old, and
third position, I think, between these three.
a little bit of a catch-up further down. It's a separate race. Lanes 3 and 2, North Lanark against First, in the form of Lucy McGee and Heather Lees.
Great battle going on over there.
Third place still, North Lanarkshire.
Just outside the shot.
With the first team, just about a second difference.
North Lanark running away with it at the moment, though. $100 metres to go for Rachel Saxon, just trying to hold it together, building that lead. Keep the stroke together, keep it all moving.
100 to go.
Second place, Perth City. A really tight battle for third.
Looks like
Yeah, front-loaded the team.
set the target for.
It's another thing for coaches to think about, is the order of swimmers. Could be very critical in terms of where you are at different stages in the race, and you don't want to just hand it all to your anchor man with 15 metres to make up, you know.
No, definitely not.
50 to go. Rachel Saxon then bringing South Lanarkshire home. Their entry time 9:07.67.
She's now clear in third position.
And remember that these times will stand going forward to the finals. But the entry times for the finals might challenge one or two teams in the outside lanes who are on 9:04, 9:06.
Rachel Saxon, they're going to
Digging in hard, and she makes a 9:04.68.
South Lanarkshire take it.
And
Ahead of Perth City.
Perth coming in second place. The minor battle down the race is very much North Lanarkshire over First, and Stirling, well, they're the tail enders on this occasion. Ailsa Gordon bringing them home. 9:04, 9:11. So Stirling then driving in to complete this afternoon's session. And we start to lick our lips and look forward to tonight's final? Anything particular catching your eye?
Oh, definitely. I mean, men's 50-metre breaststroke is going to be very, very close. Men's 100-metre freestyle, very close again. And then, I think every event's going to have something to look forward to. Men's 1500-metre freestyle will be a real battle as well. Stephen Mill, Mark Kremen, both looking for qualification times in that event. So yeah, I mean, tonight's just going to be stacked from start to finish with exciting stuff.
Good. Well, we hope that it all comes to fruition for tonight's final session.
In the meantime,
and
officials, and I now invite them to leave the poolside.
Nothing particularly notable, although one or two swimmers did have great swims and moved themselves into B final, or maybe even a reserve place, and that's absolutely fabulous from these afternoon slower heats. So the 4x200 freestyle will anchor the finals programme this evening. Excitement for the teams that are in there. Nothing too difficult to beat at that stage. Now we know in the 100 freestyle it will be very, very tight. Looking for a place not only on the team but in the relay team. The top 4 times could be the relay time, and if they get in those qualification times, it'll be really super. 200 freestyle, an interesting event for the A finals. And that's what you'll see in the finals. The 200 fly, strong men coming through there. The short 50s will be packed tight, the breaststroke particularly. What can Ross Murdoch do after a 27.28 British record this morning? Nice to see the 1500 getting a little bit of airing again in the evening session. So we have all that to look forward to. I'd like to thank Dave Leith for the moment, and you get him later on this evening, to Glasgow Life, our sponsors Scottish Gas, and the production team for QTV. We'll be back at about 5:15 to give you an introduction into the final session, which will start at 17:30 BST. We hope you can join us. For now, from me, Drew Gordon, and all of us here at Tollcross, do join us, but good afternoon for the moment.
to make 2014 even better.
It'll be a great night just to catch up, relax, and, you know, as a swimmer actually get to dress up and look normal.
And then a chance to see lots of people from all around different parts of swimming and have a good evening with them.
The awards ceremony was fantastic, with most people turned out ever, so years to come it's just going to get bigger and bigger.